Prime Minister Narendra Modi to launch a platform for transparent taxation honoring the honest today. Launch will further carry forward the journey of direct tax reforms. Situation remains peaceful in Bengaluru East. Government orders inquiry into the incident. Union Minister Sadanand Gowda visits the riot-hit police stations. Rivers flowing above the danger mark in Assam, Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. Flood situation continues to remain grim in 16 districts in Bihar. IMD issued warning of heavy to very heavy rainfall in northwestern and central India. Record highest single-day recoveries at 56,110 from COVID-19 in India. Recovery rate crosses 70%. Death rate falls below 2%. National expert group on vaccine administration for COVID-19 meets for the first time. Asserts India will engage with international players for early delivery of vaccines. Brazilian state agrees to produce Russian COVID-19 vaccines by the second half of 2021. Former US Vice President Joe Biden and Kamala Harris appear together for the first time as running mates in Delaware. Joe Biden refers to her running mate as a child of immigrants. And in sports, French club Paris Saint-Germain reached the semi-finals of the UEFA Champions League, defeat Atlanta by 2-1 in the quarter-finals. Good morning. Welcome to English News. I am Anil Thomas. Now for the stories in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will launch the platform for transparent taxation honoring the honest today. The upcoming launch of the platform for transparent taxation honoring the honest by the Prime Minister will further carry forward the journey of direct tax reforms. The event will be attended by various chambers of commerce, trade associations, chartered accountant associations and also eminent taxpayers, apart from the officers and officials of Income Tax Department. The Central Board of Direct Taxes, CBDT, has carried out several major tax reforms in direct taxes in recent years. Last year, the corporate tax rates were reduced from 30% to 22%, and for new manufacturing units, the rates were reduced to 15%. Dividend distribution tax was also abolished. But for more on this story, Arun Sharma, correspondent, joining us this morning. Arun, good morning. Arun, looking at the way this particular Prime Minister Modi today to roll out a scheme that could reward the top income taxpayers, what is in store when it comes to anticipating announcements there for that particular sector when it comes to taxpayers?
All right. Good morning, Anil, first of all. Now, let me tell you that the focus of the government primarily over here is to honor the honest taxpayers who are actually contributing to the nation building as of now. Important part is also that now Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in this budget announced that a taxpayers charter will be introduced very soon, so that primarily when we talk about various aspects of the taxpayers, a better ecosystem can be created for the honest taxpayers and of course the taxpayers, so that they come forward as far as voluntary measures, because a government cannot impose or cannot forcefully ask for taxation part. This has to come voluntarily, and that's the reason why there is a need for creating a transparent tax system as far as a country like India is concerned. Let's try to understand it this way, Anil, that in country like India, there are close to 5 to 6 crore taxpayers. Now, out of which close to 3 to 4 crore taxpayers do get exemptions up to limit of 5 lakh rupees. So they do not actually pay taxes. There are various taxpayers. I mean, look at this way. Close to 2,200 professionals disclose their taxation or the income above the level of 5 crore rupees in the country like 130 crore Indians. So now the focus of the government is a two-tier strategy. On one side, slashing the tax rates as much as possible so that there is no burden on the taxpayers. As of now, we have seen that the corporate tax was reduced from 30% to 22%. Now, this was a long pending demand from the corporate sector. Second important part, the dividend distribution tax. So when a company pays dividend to the stock, to the shareholders, at that time the taxes were imposed on the taxpayers. So the DDT has been abolished completely. For the new manufacturing units in our country, the taxation has been taken to the level of 15%. So yes, on one side, the government is focusing to slash the tax rates. So on the other side, government is also focusing on making the taxation system very simplified. Well, as of now, Anil, the taxpayers do not hesitate in paying taxes. They are more than willing to pay taxes. But the only thing that concerns the taxpayer is the compliance level, the complications involved in the taxpayer system. So yes, we have seen that various initiatives have been taken, like faceless assessment in our country. So that's the reason why government is focusing on simplification and, of course, reducing the taxation part as well.
Okay, in June when the Prime Minister was speaking, he had thanked the taxpayers for helping to finance the humanitarian crisis of COVID-19. Do you feel this particular move will, the idea behind this is to make tax collection as simple or as painless as possible?
Absolutely. So there are two components of the taxation part. We know this fact that there is direct tax involved and there is indirect tax involved.
Perfect.
As far as indirect taxes are concerned, we have seen that GST was, implemented in our country, and that's a mega tax reform that India has witnessed so far after the independence. The government was targeting close to 1 lakh crore of tax collection via GST. That means annually collection of close to 12 lakh crore rupees as far as GST is concerned. But during the COVID times, we have seen that either direct tax collection or the indirect tax collection are likely to hit very badly as far as the revenue mop-up is concerned of the government. So in that context, only government is targeting and focusing on those taxpayers who are honestly paying taxes and to honor those taxpayers. So that's the reason why Prime Minister Narendra Modi today is unveiling this initiative of introducing a transparent taxation system. There will be various subset to this initiative of Prime Minister Narendra Modi that he'll be launching today. Various incentives will be involved as far as this taxation charter is concerned for the honest taxpayers, number one. Number two, a simplified process will be there. We have seen that in last few years, we have seen that the focus of the income tax department is on simplification. Be it simplification of ITR forms is concerned, or as far as paying of taxation is concerned, whereby the scrutiny is concerned. We know this fact that in close to 2016-17, whereby the ITR assessment was approximately 0.5% of the entire ITRs received. Now that has reduced further to 0.25% only. That means only 0.25% of the ITRs are being assessed by the income tax department. Now government is moving in the direction of a faceless assessment as well. That means the income tax officer who is assessing the file of the income taxpayer, both are unknown to each other. Nobody knows actually who is paying tax and who is assessing it. The taxpayer of the northern region, his file can go to the assessing officer in the southern region. So there is complete faceless assessment going forward. The government is moving in that direction so that corruption can be curtailed. Number one, simplification can be ensured, and on the other side, we have seen this fact, the government which is targeting to increase the taxpayers base in our country. We know this fact that close to 5 crore people are in the ambit of tax paying of direct taxes. Focus is on to increase this taxpayers base so that more and more people do pay taxes, and voluntarily they do pay taxes. Paying taxes should become a voluntary, just ahead of Independence Day, a proud feeling should be there that yes, we are actually paying taxes for the nation building. So that feeling should come in from within the taxpayers. So that's an important part that Prime Minister Narendra Modi would be focusing in today.
Okay, an unconventional plan to reward the top taxpayers, a move that could be a game changer. We'll have to wait and watch for that as the Prime Minister makes that announcement at around 11 a.m. this morning. Thank you and appreciate you joining us, Arun Sharma, this morning with those updates there on that particular story. Staying with the Prime Minister, street vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi scheme or PM Swanidhi scheme has turned out to be a big success. The scheme provides financial assistance to street vendors for restarting their businesses. The scheme brings banks at doorsteps of nano entrepreneurs. Over 5 lakh applications are received under the PM Swanidhi scheme, and the number of loan sanctions under the scheme have crossed the 1 lakh mark.
The PM Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi or PM Swanidhi scheme has generated considerable enthusiasm among the street vendors who have been looking for access to affordable working capital credit for restarting their businesses post-COVID-19 lockdown. The number of applications received under PM Swanidhi scheme has crossed the 5 lakh mark within 41 days of commencement of lending process. The number of loans sanctioned under the scheme has crossed 1 lakh.
आपको बताते हुए मुझे खुशी हो रही है कि आज की तिथि में लगभग 5 लाख लोगों को अपना एप्लीकेशन इन्होंने हमारे जो टेक्नोलॉजी का जो वेब पोर्टल है या ऐप है, मोबाइल ऐप है, उसके माध्यम से उन्होंने एप्लीकेशन लगा दिया है और लगभग 1 लाख लोगों को सैंक्शन भी हो गया है।
The scheme was launched by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs under the ambit of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. It aims at facilitating collateral-free working capital loans up to 10,000 rupees of one-year tenure to about 50 lakh street vendors in the urban areas, including those from the surrounding peri-urban or rural areas. Under the scheme, incentives in the form of interest subsidy at 7% per annum on regular repayment of loan, cashback up to 1,200 rupees per annum on undertaking prescribed digital transactions, and eligibility for enhanced next tranche of loan have also been provided. PM Swanidhi scheme envisages bringing banks at the doorsteps of these entrepreneurs by engaging the non-banking financial companies and the microfinance institutions as lending institutions. This is in addition to scheduled commercial banks, public and private, regional rural banks, cooperative banks and self-help group banks.
अगर वो समय से अपना भुगतान कर देते हैं तो उनको 10,000 से बढ़ा के 20,000 रुपये, 20,000 से रुपये बढ़ा के 50,000 रुपये, यानी बड़ी ट्रांस का लोन भी मिलेगा। यानी मैं तो इन्हें जो हमारे पटरी वाले भाई बहन हैं उनको मैं एक नैनो एंटरप्रेन्योर के तौर पे कहता हूँ। ये हमारे नैनो एंटरप्रेन्योर्स जो सरकार की सहायता मिली है उससे वो माइक्रो एंटरप्रेन्योर बन सकते हैं, मिनी एंटरप्रेन्योर बन सकते हैं और आगे आने वाले समय उनका खुद का अपना दुकान हो सकता है अगर वो अपना, क्योंकि इनमें एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप तो है।
The onboarding of the vendors on digital payment platforms is a very important component to build the credit profile of the vendors to help them become part of the formal urban economy. Use of an integrated IT platform, web portal and mobile app has enabled the scheme to extend its reach and benefits to this segment of society with the objective of minimum government and maximum governance. News Night Desk, DD News.
Well, moving down south to Karnataka, the violence-hit police station limits in Bengaluru East remain peaceful and no fresh incident of any fresh violence took place. The government has ordered an inquiry into the incident. Union Minister Sadanand Gowda visited the riot-hit police stations of DJ Halli and KG Halli in Bengaluru on Wednesday. Karnataka Home Minister Basavaraj Bommai also visited these areas. He said the government will deal strictly with those involved in arson and violence. Meanwhile, the arrests so far have crossed 140, including the accused Naveen and a cooperator Muzammil Pasha, who is allegedly behind the gathering of the mob outside the police station. 3 people died in the police firing, while several others were injured, including policemen. Section 144 has been imposed across the city and there is curfew in the riot-hit areas. However, other parts of the city remained peaceful. Well, for more on that story, Aisha Khanam, our correspondent, joining us from Bangalore over the phone line. Aisha, good morning. Aisha, we read the report that the situation is very much under control, but we also read about Section 144 being imposed. Is it going to be lifted, or is there a timeline for Section 144 that's been imposed in Bangalore?
Well, good morning, Anil. The Section 144, which was imposed yesterday, will be in Bangalore as a precautionary measure for some more time. Okay. And the curfew in these 3 police station limits is also continuing as a precautionary measure because the police is still continuing the arrests so far in this matter. The arrest number has gone up to more than 140, but the police feels that those who are involved in this mob violence have even crossed the border and left Karnataka. So the police, the hunt for these accused is still on, and as there are allegations that the SDPI was involved in this entire gathering of the mob violence, the police is now stretching this investigation till the borders of Kerala also. And since the corporator who was arrested belongs to SDPI, who was elected from Bangalore from this one of the wards in DJ Halli. And besides this, the Karnataka police has also extended the security in this police station limit, and 6 CRPF companies have been deployed. Okay. And these are from China, these are from Chennai and from Hyderabad. So 6 CRPF companies have been deployed, and the area now resembles almost like a police fortress.
Okay.
Because now the police is not letting anything go beyond control beyond their hands. And so now the police is very careful about the security, so that there is no any protest again. And also on the other hand, there is a protest by BHP and the Bajrang Dal, who are protesting today in other parts of the city against this violence. So for the police, it is a security challenge, and the security cover has been strengthened. And despite the fact that there is Section 144, we will have to wait and see if the protest called by VHP and Bajrang Dal will go ahead.
Okay, also considering the fact Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa has indicated that there is going to be a magisterial probe, what's the indication that you get from ground zero? Is this particular unit that's going to be, is there a likelihood that they could be banned?
Anil, it will all depend on the inquiry. Because since the past few, in the past also, there has been demand to ban SDPI and the PFI activities in Karnataka. And also, but now the fact that SDPI as a party has been contesting elections also, and they have been elected at the corporation municipal elections.
Yes.
And now we will have to wait and see if the inquiry will lead to this kind of a strict, stringent action against SDPI and the PFI activities in Karnataka as well.
Okay. Thank you, and appreciate you joining us this morning with those updates there from Bangalore. Well, moving on, time now to take a look at COVID-19 updates from across the nation. The record highest single-day recoveries of 56,110 patients of COVID-19 has been registered in the country on Thursday. It is a result of the successful implementation of effective containment strategy, aggressive and comprehensive testing coupled with standardized clinical management of the critical patients based on holistic standard of care approach. With more patients recovering and being discharged from hospitals and home isolation in case of mild and moderate cases, the total recoveries have crossed the 16 lakh mark. The recovery rate has reached another high of 70.38%. India's test track 3 strategy has achieved another peak with 7,33,449 tests being done in the last 24 hours. This has taken the cumulative test to more than 2.6 crores. The TPM has jumped to 18,852. National Expert Group on Vaccine Administration for COVID-19 deliberated on strategy to ensure COVID-19 vaccines availability and the delivery mechanism. The first meeting was held on Wednesday under the chairmanship of Niti Aayog member Dr. V.K. Paul. The expert group deliberated on conceptualization and implementation mechanisms for creating of a digital infrastructure for inventory management and delivery mechanism of the vaccine, including tracking of vaccination process with particular focus on last mile delivery. The group delved on the procurement mechanisms for COVID-19 vaccine, including both indigenous and international manufacturing, along with guiding principles for prioritization of population groups for vaccination. Union Minister of State for Ayush, Sripat Yasho Naik, has tested positive for COVID-19. He was asymptomatic and is currently in home isolation, and his vitals are normal. He made the announcement via social media and urged the people who came in contact with him to get tested and take the necessary requirements. Some weather news now. The flood situation remains grim in the 16 districts of Bihar. The flood discharge from Gandak River has increased and it has caused more inundation. In all, a population of 77 lakhs spread over 16 districts are reeling under intense floods. The worst affected districts are Darbhanga, Samastipur, Saharsa, Muzaffarpur and East Champaran. As many as 24 people and 69 cattle have lost their lives in the current flood fury. 33 NDRF and SDRF teams are engaged in rescue and relief work. Around 9 lakh people are being provided with cooked food through 1,211 community kitchens. Around 12,000 people are living in 7 relief camps. An ex gratia of 6,000 per family has been distributed to 6,72,000 flood-affected families through direct transfer of benefit. The Met Office has predicted heavy rainfall at some places in the river catchment areas of Nepal and Bihar and light to moderate rainfall at some places during the next 48 hours. In Maharashtra, due to intense clouding over northern Konkan, Mumbai and adjoining areas received heavy showers once again. Rains have been moderate in Mumbai since Wednesday, and all operations have been normal. There are no cases of waterlogging in low-lying areas and vehicular traffic is normal. Meanwhile, the IMD has predicted heavy rainfall at isolated places in districts of Mumbai, Thane, Raigad and Palghar for today. It has issued an orange warning for North Konkan, South Konkan, North Madhya Maharashtra, rest of the places in the state to receive moderate showers. Several parts of the national capital have witnessed heavy to moderate rain since early this morning. The early morning showers, the second spell in 2 days, have brought respite to the residents from the sultry weather. The IMD has predicted generally cloudy sky with heavy rains in the national capital during the day today. Thunderstorm with light to moderate intensity rain would continue to occur over Delhi and adjoining areas and most parts of NCR. Let's now take a look at updates on COVID-19 from across the world. Over 2 crores and 7 lakh coronavirus cases have been registered globally, with more than 7,51,000 deaths related to COVID-19. As many as 1 crore 36 lakh people have recovered from coronavirus so far. COVID-19 cases have been shooting up in the United States, making it the worst hit by the pandemic for several weeks now. United States has over 53,60,000 cases due to the pandemic, and the death toll has now gone past the 1,69,000 mark. United States is followed by Brazil, which has recorded more than 1,04,000 deaths with over 31,70,000 cases that have turned positive. In terms of COVID-19 death toll worldwide, the United States and Brazil are followed by Mexico with a death toll nearing 54,000. The second worst hit country in the world due to the pandemic, Brazil has taken a step forward, the Russia COVID-19 vaccine. According to the State Research Institute, Brazil's Paraná state began talks with Russia to produce a COVID-19 vaccine hours after President Vladimir Putin declared his country to be the first country to grant regulatory approval for a vaccine. A Brazilian technology institute said on Wednesday that it expects to produce a Russian coronavirus vaccine by the second half of 2021, shortly after the state of Paraná signed a memorandum of understanding with Moscow. Russia has touted that it has the world's first registered COVID-19 vaccine. However, Brazilian public health experts and former senior regulatory officials have said they had safety concerns about the vaccine, which has not passed the usual mass testing required on vaccinations. Brazil, being the second worst hit country in the world due to coronavirus, has more than 31,70,000 cases, while the death toll has surged past the 1,04,000 mark. In other news, Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden and his new running mate, U.S. Senator Kamala Harris, made their first public appearance together on Wednesday in Delaware as the campaign for the White House enters a more frantic phase. Both Biden and Harris have attacked Donald Trump as an incompetent leader who has left the United States in tatters. Biden noted that Harris, a California senator, is the first woman of color to serve as a presidential running mate for a major U.S. party. He described Kamala as a child of immigrants. The two delivered remarks just days before Biden formally accepts the Democratic presidential nomination during the party's national convention, which will take place largely as a virtual event next week due to the coronavirus pandemic. Kamala, in her address, said that we are going to bring our country closer to realizing its great promise. She said a mandate is needed that proves that the past few years do not represent who we are or who we aspire to be. Donald Trump, meanwhile, hit back, saying that Kamala Harris had dropped like a rock in her own presidential bid. Trump called Kamala Harris the most horrible member of the U.S. Senate and said he was surprised Joe Biden had picked her as his vice presidential candidate. On to sports, French club Paris Saint-Germain are on to the Champions League semi-finals after a dramatic late winner against the Cinderella story of the competition Italian club Atalanta. PSG scored 2 late goals in the sensational comeback to beat Atalanta in Lisbon on Wednesday night. The 2-1 win paved the way for their first trip to the Champions League semi-final in 25 years. Until deep in the 90th minute, Atalanta looked like they would knock the French champions out. But in the end, PSG booked the ticket for a place in the semis. Well, that's all we have time for in this edition of news. But remember to follow physical distancing. Also, wash your hands every 20 minutes. Wear your mask when you are out in public places. And if you are unable to wash your hands, please use a sanitizer to keep yourself clean, because we all need to see a better tomorrow. Thanks for watching.